Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn, you absolutely may call me Joy, and I want to talk about trains. I like trains. I like train travel. It's relatively fast, efficient, doesn't leave me with any nauseating travel sickness. Britain especially has a particularly rich history when it comes to railway technology development. It can be kind of fun to navigate maps of destinations, especially on the tube. I kind of think of that as a game. Train travel, of course, does have its downsides, delays, and the rising cost of travel being the most obvious ones that come to mind. But generally speaking, I do enjoy trains and train travel. Now, I've thought plenty of times that I would never like to drive a car. And there are 101 reasons for this, which I may go into in a future video. But what about trains? Helpfully for me, the internet has all the answers. So what we're looking at here essentially is a case of where my curiosity got the better of me. The information contained in this video comes from careerboss.co.uk and traindriver.org. So train drivers can drive passenger trains, freight trains, or both. But it's the high intensity of the training that really got me interested, as well as fulfilling all of the medical standards, passing all the examinations, having the skills necessary such as good concentration, excellent attention to detail, patience, the ability to remain calm under stress, all of the knowledge of public safety, signs, symbols, security, the ability to work well as part of a team or on your own, because it's a lot of responsibility to be a train driver. Many of these things I've been tested on and have skills in, as well as good IT skills, understanding all of the electronic components that are used in this job. As part of the medical evaluation, you will need to be able to pass an eye exam, hearing exam, and be able to identify colours correctly, as well as a psychological examination to prove that you are competent enough. That's the part where I might fall short. So although train drivers do need to have a really good level of being able to see well, you can still drive a train if you wear glasses, as long as your sight with those glasses meets a certain standard. And high levels of stress are not usual when it comes to the everyday runnings of driving a train, but as we all know, anyone who's ever been on a train understands that delays happen, cancellations happen, unexpected events happen, such as storms blowing logs and trees onto the railway, like heavy inclement snow. All of these things build up the stressful pressure of being able to perform that job well. For all these really important reasons, becoming a train driver has an awful lot of standards that an applicant will have to meet. It's not just passing the test, it's passing all the tests and the interviews and the medical exams. And training is not only very intensive but also very long, as I have mentioned. Learners in the driver training courses will be expected to be not only very punctual but also present for the entire time. There are no holidays allowed whilst training. Trainees have to learn about the knowledge of the rules and regulations of being a train driver,
knowledge of traction, actually learning the physics behind how trains move, how they operate, train handling, how to control them, very key obviously, and route knowledge. And this is part of what I thought I might enjoy because I do like looking at maps and planning journeys. So let's have a look at what happens on an actual course to learn to be a train driver. Week 1 is basics, introduction, information, an overview of the entire course, as well as health and safety. Every course always starts with health and safety. I've been through it when I was studying for my hairdressing course. It's the same thing. The first module we did was health and safety. Sounds pretty boring, but you cannot expect to continue learning a course without having gone through health and safety protocol first. Learners also learn the names of all of the different parts of the railway, what the signs mean on the line side, ascertaining speed, how to contact the signaller, where to literally it says where to walk and where not to walk. Learning about safe zones and unsafe zones, and when engineering works happen, obviously you've got to avoid knocking over some engineers. Weeks 2 to 5 is proper start of the course. That is instruction on cab etiquette, meeting an actual driver manager who will instruct the learners. This should also include shadowing other more experienced senior drivers, as well as visits to signal boxes to see how they operate, and also a look at a train maintenance depot. Weeks 6 to 9 gives the learners the sort of intensive core of all the rules that need to be followed. This includes stuff like general safety and responsibility. There should probably be a bit of coverage on dangerous goods for those people that will eventually become freight train drivers. Studying hard about what signals mean what.
Green light. Red light. Player 324 eliminated.
What happens during an emergency stop? What happens when trains are detained? And learning to use signal boxes to inform people about what information they need to know, what situation is happening, as well as travelling through dangerous territory as well, where such circumstances are legitimately necessary. This is also where full training of the physics of how to operate the machinery comes in. There's also a lengthy portion of the training that goes into covering defective train equipment, how to tell when the equipment is defective, and what to do in those situations. There's a section here called wrong direction movements, where basically it's how to correct course if a driver has made a mistake, going the wrong direction, overshooting the mark on a platform. There's also obviously a section about level crossings. There's a fairly sizable portion of the training that goes into learning about station duties and train dispatch. What with trains being the fastest land vehicles that we have, there is also a very important section about learning about speed. It's a shame that Keanu Reeves is not teaching this course. What speeds are permitted, when speeds might temporarily be restricted. There's also a section here about what happens when things go wrong when it comes to the weather, flooding, snow, and of course accidents.
Come back, yelled his driver.
Weeks 10 to 14 mainly focus on traction theory. A lot of this is pretty much like my hairdressing theory carried out in a classroom. A lot of this involves learning about various parts of the train as well. Week 15, where the exciting stuff starts happening. This is when the trainee drivers get to operate a train for the first time, albeit at low speeds, under close supervision and in sort of a safe area. Week 16 is all about learning the routes, although it is quite obvious that anyone can just look at a map and work out where they need to go. A train driver needs to have this knowledge internalized. Weeks 17 to 28 is when the learners actually drive real trains alongside an instructor to obviously be there at all times to help out. It also says that a third of this is explicitly in darkness. This is because, of course, train drivers do drive at night sometimes, and winter is a thing when it gets dark at about 4. This is why I have 2 lights on right now. These 12 weeks are really about putting all of the theory knowledge into practical application and making sure that it's right. Some companies, of course, have brought in very excellent simulators to avoid some of the more sort of treacherous risks for train drivers and passengers alike, especially when it comes to poor weather, as mentioned with floods and snow, and even leaves. Like, leaves are actually a pretty big hazard when it comes to railway lines. And then week 29 is the handling assessment. So a complete practical assessment of all of the skills from all of the previous weeks. And if those 30 weeks go well, then the learner becomes a certified train driver. And all that just to say that while I did find all of this information incredibly helpful and interesting, from my perspective, it was also very much a case of, this is something that I would not be able to do. Just colour my curiosity satisfied. And I have much greater appreciation for train drivers, what they do and what they have to learn in order to become train drivers. But again, not for me, I don't think. However, that's not to say that I wouldn't enjoy some sort of career that involves trains, maybe. Depending on how much responsibility it would actually take and what kind of a team involvement there is and all of the other things that have gone into all of the 2 previous videos about working and me working out how I need to work. I think that not only are the roads safer without me driving on them, but the railway lines are as well. It's giving me something to think about anyway. Trigger warning for this last part. I won't go into details, but if you are not comfortable watching anything about this, then I completely understand. And if you click off the video here, you're not going to miss much because I have saved it for the end for that specific reason. So if that's the case, thanks for watching. On top of that, a train driver also will have to deal with, almost certainly at some point in their career, either an accident involving someone or some animal that has strayed onto the track, or someone who intended to take their own life. That being said, thank you very much for watching my trilogy of videos all about the world of work and my personal journey of what the hell is going on. Me trying to interpret not just the information but also the world around me and how do I progress now? I will have something a bit more my usual style coming up quite soon, so look out for that as well. Until then, non-binary, still valid, god damn it. Ciao. How to understand all the science, train learning in the training course.